It's always combined with the probenecid. Probenecid is the one, a drug, which is going to compete with the transporter cells, transporter proteins in the kidney, especially in the tubular secretion, and prevents the what you call as the tubular secretion of the penicillin. So the penicillin is retained in the body. That's what we are discussing. And uric acid is having the opposite action. It's an endogenous substance and it undergoes primarily the tubular reabsorption. So yesterday we have learned that glomerular filtration, tubular secretion, and tubular reabsorption. These are the three processes in which the kidney is going to secrete the drug out of the body. So, usually in the Bowman's capsule, the uh, drugs are filtered out of the capillaries, then it descends down to proximal convoluted tubule where the reabsorption takes place and also the tubular secretion takes place. So the net excretion is tubular secretion plus glomerular filtration minus tubular reabsorption. So probenecid is the one which competes for the uric acid transporter and prevents this, and the uric acid is excreted from the body. That's how it goes. So these are all the parts of the kidney, and everybody, you know this, the nephron, the lacs of the nephrons are present in each kidney, and the renal artery and renal vein filtered blood out, it will come out, and the unfiltered means the what do you call as the uh, drug containing blood will enter inside the kidney, then get excreted, some part will be excreted and the unexcreted part will once again filtered out of the body, and ultimately the urine is formed, and the urine, through urine the drugs get excreted. And here also many times the unfiltered blood enters the through the small capillaries. Of course, this is the renal artery, then it becomes branches into small capillaries, especially the renal cortex system. Then through the glomeruli the filtration occurs, and the filtration, after filtration the urine is going to be formed, and the reabsorption and this and secretion, tubular secretion takes place. This is the tubules, secretion takes place, and finally the urine is formed, which will get out of the body. This is the normal mechanism. And let us see how a drug is get excreted out of the body. Afferent arteriole means small arteries are here. Small arteries are coming from the heart, and they enter the kidney as renal artery, very big artery. Renal artery is branched to several small and small capillaries. Then each capillary will supply the glomeruli. Then here the glomerular filtration occurs, because this is the, in this capillary the pore size is very big. So most of the drug get excreted here. The drugs which are having the water soluble or hydrophilic in nature or polar in nature, they are going to be excreted in the glomerular filtration. Then this is the proximal convoluted tubule. This is the proximal convoluted tubule. Up to this part, this is proximal convoluted tubule, and this is known as loop of Henle or loop of nephron. And the yellow colored one, this one is the distal convoluted tubule. In proximal convoluted tubule, the materials which are secreted out or excreted out, they will be get reabsorbed. That's called as the tubular reabsorption, tubular renal tubular reabsorption. Whereas in case of the distal convoluted tubule, So please remember this chapter very well so that you can get it remembers very well for the excretion of any drug. So for any excretion of any drug which is having the hydrophilic in nature, then it is filtered here, the glomerular capsule or glomeruli, then the material enters here with the plasma and other thing, and sometimes depending upon the pH and pKa of the drug, the tubular reabsorption takes place, and remaining part of the drug enters the Henle loop of Henle. Then after getting into the loop of Henle, then here this hydrogen, of course the hydrogen is reabsorbed into circulation in the loop of Henle. Where the loop diuretics or high ceiling diuretics are going to act here. Anyway, we will learn it later. Whereas the tubular secretion is taking place in the distal convoluted tubule. So then these are all the peripheral capillary. One is so after supply, this becomes the vein, and the ultimately the after reabsorption, after secretion, glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. So this is going to be formed as a urine, and this is collecting duct, and usually the water reabsorption takes place. 90% of the water will be reabsorbed in the kidney, and this is the renal pelvis. So here in the renal pelvis, the formulated urine will get collected, then it is excreted out to the bladder through ureter. So this is the molecular structure of a nephron. So we will learn what are the other things. So once again, this is the same thing wherein which glomerular filtration takes place in the Bowman's capsule, then active tubular secretion occurs here, then passive tubular absorption occurs here, and ultimately the drug is excreted out of the body. So this thing we have learned in detail about the glomerular filtration and tubular reabsorption and secretion. So here we can alter the absorption, distribution, and excretion of the xenobiotic or pharmacochemical substance. So usually the glomerular filtration, yesterday we have learned that the pore size here in the capillaries, especially in the capillaries, is very, very large. Usually it is very, very larger. That's why the any drug with lipophilic activity get excreted in the glomerular filtration here. Usually each capillary is supplied with 180 liters of the urine need to be formed per day. Then it descends down. It descends to proximal convoluted tubule. Then all non-protein bound drugs, especially the lipophilic and lipophobic drugs, get filtered in glomerulus. So both drugs, lipophilic and lipophobic, they are get excreted, whereas the lipophilic drugs, they are get reabsorbed into the proximal convoluted tubule. So here you can see that this is the cross section of the particular proximal convoluted tubule and the glomerular filtration place or glomeruli. Then the plasma proteins are here, and the drugs, if they are bound to the plasma protein, then it is not easy for them to come. Whereas the lipophilic substances, they can enter inside the glomerular filtration process. And these are all the basal membrane. Here the basal membrane of the capillary, then the drug gets inside the epithelium, and the urine is primary urine, which is not the final urine, because to form the final urine or the urine itself, it requires a lot of procedure, especially the after glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption should take place, and the secretion, especially tubular secretion, takes place. Then finally the concentrated urine will be formed. And in the distal convoluted tubule, tubular reabsorption takes place. Here also many times tubular reabsorption takes place. Passive diffusion and depends on the lipid solubility. 99% of the lipid soluble drugs after glomerular filtration get reabsorbed. Lipid soluble drugs, even though they are excreted or excreted in the glomerular filtration, they get reabsorbed, and non-lipid soluble drugs are unable to do so. So the hydrophilic drugs or non-lipid soluble drugs, they get excreted and they will never get reabsorbed. Ionization of the drug at existing pH, and the highly ionized drugs not reabsorbed usually because the charged substances or highly ionized drugs get distorted from the epithelial cells. And the nature of the drugs here, more and more ionization, weakly basic drugs. So they are absorbed at the, if the pH is acidic, and weakly acidic drugs with the weakly alkaline pH. That's also depicted here. Tubular secretion takes place. Then the drugs which are having lipid solubility, they get reabsorbed back into the circulation, and in the different pH, different type of the absorption takes place. And next is the next excretory organ is through feces. The excretion process is through feces. So apart from the unabsorbed fraction, most of the drug present in the feces is derived from the bile. So number one is if you administer the drug orally, then after absorption, the remaining quantity need to be excreted through the feces. Suppose it says sulfadimidine, orally sulfaguanidine drug, the absorption rate is just 5%, or fenbendazole if you take. In case of cattle, fenbendazole, the quantity absorbed is just 5%, the 95% of the drug get excreted through feces. That's why it's a good enthalmatic. And many of the drugs are excreted through feces. And the number two is, another thing is many drugs which get absorbed through any route, then excreted through bile. Excreted through bile will also get excreted through the feces. And liver actively transports into bile organic acids, especially drug glucuronides, inorganic bases, and steroids by separate non-specific active transport mechanism. So, the relatively larger molecules with molecular weight more than 300 are preferably eliminated in the bile, because as the molecular size get increased, it will not get absorbed into the intestinal villi or pores. So they will get excreted through feces only. Hence, you have to see that the molecular size should be more if the drug want to get excreted through urine. And most of the drug, including that released by deconjugation of the glucuronide. Glucuronide conjugation, you know it's very well by, and the what you call as the bacteria in intestine is reabsorbed. Most of the drug, including that released by the deconjugation of the glucuronide by bacteria in intestines, is reabsorbed, or it is also known as enterohepatic cycling, and ultimate excretion occurs through urine. So many times it happens, especially in the drug ivermectin, which is very commonly used. Endectocide. Ivermectin is a ivermectin group or milbomycin group. It's a endectocide. So it inhibits the GABA receptors, especially in the worms, and going to kill the worms by paralysis. So the extensive enterohepatic cycling occurs, especially in case of the ivermectin, because it's highly polar in nature, and also the molecular size is more. So it is getting even though it is excreted through the bile, it is getting reabsorbed into the circulation from the intestine, and ultimately it need to be excreted from the urine and also through feces. Example of the drugs which are excreted through the feces are erythromycin, ampicillin, rifampicin, erythromycin, ampicillin, rifampicin, tetracycline, and many oral contraceptives and phenolphthalein. These are the drugs which are excreted through the feces. And certain drugs are excreted directly in colon. Example, anthracene purgatives. Many of the purgatives are there, and they get excreted directly into the colon. And heavy metals, most of the heavy metals excreted till this reaching the colon, they just damage the colon, this intestine, and later they reach the colon and get excreted out of the body. And here you can see that enterohepatic circulation, as the name indicates, entero means intestine, hepatic means liver, the circulation. So enterohepatic circulation, in which there is lot of capillaries are present in the upper part of the duodenum and intestine, and the drug get absorbed from this part of the intestine. Then through the capillary endothelial system or the capillaries, the drug reaches the liver. There it gets metabolized. Then once again it is going to be excreted. That's known as the enterohepatic circulation. So the drug gets entry into the intestine, especially the drug is given orally. Most of the drugs given orally undergo enterohepatic circulation. Then the major fraction get excreted, especially through the bile, whereas the minor fraction re-enters circulation and absorbed into the bile. Then it reaches the liver once again, then taken by hepatocytes, excreted in the bile. So once again, the excreted drug will reach the intestine. The same cycle continues. It is going to be secreted in the bile, then taken by the excreted in the bile. Once again, drug is going to enter the intestine, and major fraction is excreted, whereas the minor fraction re-enter the circulation and absorbed into the portal blood and reaches the liver, taken by the hepatocytes, excreted in bile, and once again it's getting inside the liver. So this extensive process is known as enterohepatic circulation. And the drugs undergoing the enterohepatic circulation, extensive enterohepatic circulation, are the ampicillin, say antibiotic, rifamycin is anti-tuberculosis drug, estrogen is a hormone, morphine is a drug that causes sedation or addictive property, and doxycycline is a tetracycline drug. And most of the doxycycline, whenever it's given orally to you, then it is getting absorbed into the circulation through the intestinal capillaries, then enters the liver, then excreted through bile, then once again getting absorbed into the circulation. And another cephalosporin is the cephalosporin. It also enters the enterohepatic circulation. Here you can see that this is a part of the intestine. Many were telling about the schematic diagrams should be there, especially then understanding is better. So here you can see that in the gut, the drug is going to be acted by certain bacteria, and bacterial deconjugates may also be formed. Then this portal vein, through the portal vein, it's enter the liver, and with the help of the UGT enzyme, OATP will be formed and it is entering the circulation, whereas the major part is once again secreted in the bile duct. And this cycle continues. This one is known as the enterohepatic circulation. The drug which enters the general circulation is going to kidney and excreted through urine. This is how the drugs will undergo enterohepatic